Hello everyone, welcome back to another live stream update here on Forever United TV. We are on location, but we're still bringing you the Manchester United news. And this evening's show on the 2nd of June, 2 days into the window being open, is all around Manchester United's strikers and potential strikers we could buy. For some reason this afternoon, it's gone into overdrive on possibilities of Manchester United's number 9s. We have got an update on Bryan Mbeumo, which I'm going to start with quickly because that's just come out in the last 15 minutes from Ben Jacobs and a couple of other sources as well on Bryan Mbeumo. But we're talking MATETA, we're talking Mitrovic, we're talking Gonzalo Ramos. Is this all because of Victor Gyökeres? Yes, there is a lot of names there all in one go, so we're going to do our best to try and get through as much of it as we can. We'll get in your comments in the live comment section. Get involved in the show, everybody, and make sure that you get your voice heard as well. Get up there in the community leaderboard by getting in with the live chats and getting your contributions in on the show there in the live chats. Try and get up there and win today's round. A new feature that YouTube have put in there, which I'm loving at the moment, and seeing people trying to win. So you're going to do your thing in there. I'll give you the news and then we'll discuss it. We'll come together in the middle and we'll see who Manchester United are going to be buying, I think, is what we're looking at. I've got a sneaky little feeling that Bryan Mbeumo is going to be a Man United player. There, I've said it. I just think with everything that's being said and everything that's going on right now, it is all looking likely that Manchester United are going to be getting their main target. And I say main target because this is a tweet that's just come out. Again, that's been retweeted by the Muppeteers. They have said, I believe that plan A would be to push for Bryan Mbeumo, try and convince him to join. It doesn't mean Manchester United are still not working on alternative strikers. Just from them, that is, as well. But an important one has come out from Ben Jacobs in the last 15 minutes also, which says Manchester United still intend to try for Bryan Mbeumo, even if Bruno Fernandes stays. He is one of the top targets. Manchester United's talks with Bryan Mbeumo have intensified over today. It is now looking likely, and this was another one before that came out from Transfer Dan as well, who was the one who broke the news on Matheus Cunha, or he claims he did anyway. But still, I've been right with quite a lot regarding Manchester United and the transfer window so far. He says Manchester United are engaged in club-to-club discussions with Brentford to explore the terms of a potential transfer agreement for Bryan Mbeumo. Other Premier League clubs such as Newcastle and are also demonstrating strong interest and are currently assessing the situation. But again, Manchester United have made more contact with Brentford. Like we discussed this morning, this has now started to circulate later on today, and Brentford and United are now in full-on discussions over the package, what it is going to cost Manchester United to bring Mbeumo in. He's a top target now. It is now becoming very clear that even if Manchester United go all in on Bryan Mbeumo, it's not going to affect what we're doing in the striker department, which is why I wanted to start tonight's show with Mbeumo. He wasn't my top part of the show and up until the last 15 minutes when all of this news on Mbeumo started to come out and circulate. So that's your little update on Mbeumo as a little bit of a bonus for the start of this show. We're talking the number 9s, we're talking strikers on this show tonight because that's been the main topic of conversation all throughout the day. I also did an update earlier on today about Manchester United's midfield options, and it raised a few eyebrows and definitely got the comment section going big time. Get involved in that as well. James McAtee from Manchester City. I knew it when I put it out that it was going to cause a stir, but yeah, just go give me your opinion on that video when this live is finished, everybody. That was the lunchtime update show. In that show as well, in that video, I talked about Victor Gyökeres now being number 1 target for Diego Simeone. Yes, Atletico are pushing forward with an attempt to sign Victor Gyökeres, which is bad news for everybody because Chelsea are in full-on in, as Florian Plettenberger says, as Christian Folk has said, obviously main German journalist over there for the Bundesliga, that Chelsea are fully on in now. After agreeing and confirming Liam Delap today, Chelsea are in for Hugo Ekitike. That's them done. 2 strikers that they are fully on in for. So Gyökeres is not going to Chelsea. Arsenal are in talks with Benjamin Sesko as well as Manchester United. That hasn't moved yet. There's no updates on that. So everything is moving around. But Victor Gyökeres now, I'm just going to give my own opinion on this again. I just feel like he fits absolutely perfectly at Atletico Madrid, and the Champions League is going to play a part in this. There's only so many players Manchester United can convince to come to the football club without Champions League. I think Bryan Mbeumo and Matheus Cunha, we've done exceptionally well to get them deals over the line, if we do get Mbeumo, that is. But we've run out. We've run out of convincing factor when it comes to certain players. And Premier League proven players like Mbeumo and Cunha might be a reason why Manchester United are going for them types of players. Like Prem proven and not used to playing in the Champions League or any European competition isn't that bad for them. Maybe it's a bit easier to convince them players. But Gyökeres looks like, and I wanted to bring him up before all of these other stories that we're going to talk about with United potential number 9 targets and signings, because he has played the big part in this. Because like Ben Jacobs has said, like many others have said, he is the dream signing for Manchester United. We know it. United's still interested and trying to get this deal done, and by the end of this week we'll probably know about it. But just hearing today about Atletico, I'm like, that's a tough one to turn down, because that is a ready-made club, I think, for Gyökeres. But we'll see. Look, never say never. And just because it's Simeone and a well-established club like Atletico Madrid, who are in the Champions League, you never know. This transfer window, I think, is going to throw up a few surprises, and definitely surprises for Manchester United anyway, I feel. So, yeah, let's see how it goes. But Gyökeres not signing has prompted, and I said this earlier on in the midday show at 12:30, that Gyökeres going to Atletico Madrid. Then all of a sudden, like, how many different stories have popped up for possible Manchester United strikers to come in? Now, the one that I want to start with is the man that I feel is more likely to be a Manchester United striker. Mbeumo is Mbeumo. He's a number 10. He's aside from this number 9. To make that clear, it's not Mbeumo and done. It's Mbeumo and a 9. We've talked about this in depth before, so I'm just going to go over it again just to confirm. It's Mbeumo and the 9 that Manchester United are looking for. Everybody knows this. So the one that I feel is definite for Manchester United in all of these stories, because I talked about the other names there. We'll get on Mitrovic in a minute, and we'll talk about Ramos as well. But Jean-Philippe Mateta and Team Talk have come out with this piece this afternoon as well, and this has been run by a few aggregator accounts also on Mateta. And now this is where I was looking at Mateta before, and I've done about 3 or 4 different videos on him now, why Manchester United should go for Mateta and the positives of signing him and what that would bring the football club, that Premier League proven powerhouse that Ruben Amorim is looking for. He's looking for that power and pace and experience, and Mateta and his numbers this season have been exceptional again. Can you imagine, like, we've had different like threes up there now and everyone's picking out their threes. Can you imagine a front line of Gyökeres, Cunha and then Bryan Mbeumo? What about Mateta, Cunha and Bryan Mbeumo? Does that not just give you the ultimate Premier League proven experience front three that you could actually buy in without having Champions League football this summer? I've made my point about Mateta, obviously already having Europa League. Why would he come to Manchester United? But the only thing that I feel is in United's favour with Mateta is that he's got 1 year left on his contract. Now, these are the stories that are coming out now, and I'll just read it out for you. Manchester United have Jean-Philippe Mateta at the top of their striker shortlist, and Crystal Palace are willing to sell him for a fee in the region of €30 million, 25 million quid, to 35 million euros, 29.5 million quid. Why is he so cheap? Because he's not signed that new contract. This changes if he signs a deal, because if he doesn't sign a contract before January, obviously he's open to talking to clubs for free in January. This may be Jean-Philippe Mateta's angle on this. I'll play 1 season in the Europa League. I won't sign a deal, and then I'll move for free after I've given Crystal Palace my full contract and European experience, and then move on in the summer of 2026-27 season. That may be his angle on this. I mean, I don't know what he's thinking, but I'm just going off this story here that's out there. And look, we can say that this story is wide of the mark if we want. It's not a fantastic source from my experience, but we know that Manchester United are in from what Simon Stone from the BBC has said for Jean-Philippe Mateta. That's someone who I would trust and is reliable, because I know he is all over Manchester United. He goes to Manchester United home and away. He's just come back from Malaysia from covering them over there as well. So when he says that Manchester United are looking at Mateta and he is a top target for them, I do believe that he moves up the priority list if, like I said, Victor Gyökeres says no. It is all pending, and I said this morning, I think I said it in last night's show as well, it is all pending on what Victor Gyökeres decides to do. If it's a definite no and he's gone, then Manchester United move forward and players like Philippe Mateta come into the fold and we start negotiating with him. I think it's an easy deal for Manchester United to make if Mateta is hell-bent on not signing that contract. But first of all, let's just kick that off with the MBEUMO update and then with Mateta. I want to get some opinion straight away on Jean-Philippe Mateta if you think he is a good signing for United. We've talked about this before. A lot of people have had their say on this. There is no extra Bruno Fernandes update tonight for anyone in the chat who's asking for it, apart from Ben Jacobs coming out saying that United are still in for MBEUMO if Bruno stays or leaves, and Ben Jacobs is the one running the Bruno Fernandes story at the moment. I've got a feeling something might just come out tonight while everybody's out or doing things. I just got a feeling we'll get a Bruno Fernandes update again later on in the evening. Something's coming, I think, the next couple of days on the Bruno one. I just got that feeling about it. The international break couldn't have come at a worse time for Manchester United in this news and dealing with this. But we covered him this morning. We're only bringing it up now because Ben Jacobs is the one talking about MBEUMO in the last 20 minutes. About Bruno staying or leaving, it doesn't matter. United are still going for Bryan MBEUMO. So that's where we're at with it. We're talking players that will never come to United, keep dreaming, play the youth. MBEUMO, yeah, open to coming United. Mateta, yeah, open to coming to United. TK, I'm sorry, mate. You're a little bit wide of the mark with that one there, I think, buddy. No way we sell Bruno and get Mateta. We need Gyökeres or Osimhen. This club needs to stop with mediocrity. For F's sake, they will buy what's good enough and pocket the rest. I don't think so. I think, have we not been buying the best so-called names out there in the market for the last 10 years and it failing? I don't mind a different approach. I really don't. As long as it's properly recruited and it is actually a player that Manchester United are going to be able to use in Ruben Amorim's system, I'm all for it. Let's see what Ruben can do with him. Let's see what Ruben can actually do and conjure up with these players that he is recruiting in alongside Manchester United's management team. You never know. I'm all for a different approach because the previous has failed us miserably, and look where we are with it. That's what I say anyway. United, I want to Torres or Mitrovic and Gonzalo Ramos, Pedro Gonçalves and MBEUMO, Dani Munoz, Edison, Emi Martinez is better for next season, please. Yep, I think I've read that comment out from you before, buddy. Is it Temsdium? I think that's how you say the name. Dreamland, I think, but you never know. 2 or 3 of them players could come in, matey. I can't watch Rasmus being an extra defender for the opposition anymore, says Daz Sweets. Yeah, good point. Cunha, Mateta and MBEUMO. Victor's liking them ones in the chats. Højlund should be loaned, not sold. There's a chance that might happen. Inter Milan, again, there was a story coming out while we're talking about strikers today earlier on. I didn't run it because I've already run the story and done a piece on it, but just to update you again, the story has circulated again today, coming from Tutto, I think it's from Tutto Inter, an account in Italy. I'm pretty certain that's who it was. Correct. Sorry if I'm wrong on that one, but another one of the Tutto accounts saying that Inter Milan have made Rasmus Højlund their priority striker this summer. Again, I'll believe it when I see it, and I need to see movement on Rasmus Højlund before I can actually really get my teeth into that news. I'm just not convinced, is what I'm saying. I'm just not convinced that anyone who's got anything about them or is a decent team, and this is 2-time Champions League finalist in the last 3 years, Inter Milan, wanting one of the worst strikers that Manchester United have ever had in their history. I'll believe it when I see it. I'm just not with it at the moment. Yorkshire Josh says Sancho, Rashford and others could all go to Arabia for big money signings, and also the billionaires' lifestyle they offer in the contract. They could be bought, couldn't they? Question mark. How many ex-United men? In terms of options, we talked about Jadon Sancho earlier on. Just to answer this question, Yorkshire Josh, they're still negotiating with Jadon Sancho, Chelsea, trying to get his wages down and under the structure of what Chelsea need. They're also talking to Gittins from Borussia Dortmund. as a possible alternative to Jadon Sancho. So that you could say is a little bit of a worrying sign as well, that Jadon Sancho is talking to Chelsea, but Chelsea are obviously talking to other options. And then it's Man United with 5 million in the back pocket and Jadon Sancho and having to sell him and more work to do this summer. Whereas we'd all love just 25 million now, everything done and out of the way, Alvaro's money in, United getting MBEUMO in and then moving on a striker. That would be the ideal scenario. Rashford, still no movement or updates on him. All we're seeing is him in these luscious vacation resorts, wherever it is, doing his warm training. Thanks, but no thanks, Marcus. Really don't give a shit, mate, what you're doing right now. We don't need to know. Just knuckle down and get back to playing football the best you can. That's the only thing that you can do now for your own sake as well, wherever it is you end up. Let's get a couple more comments in before we move on to the next story, which is a humdinger. Man, didn't believe it when I seen it. Adam, Nico has left us for PSG. I can never be certain who he means when he says we in the chat anymore. I'm not seeing Nico has left us for PSG. I'm not sure what you mean by that, Ross, mate. Is that someone who was a regular in our chat who's left us? I'm not sure, to be honest. That would be what it is anyway. But thanks for the update on that, Roz. He was a little bit negative most of the time on it. Yeah, he can go and support whoever he wants. Anyone who wants to jump ship on teams is really not really for our chat. Yeah, but, it might be a joke, I don't know. But thanks for the super chat anyway, mate. Interesting that all of the players that leave United on loan or permanently excel just fine. Inter might have a way to motivate and train Rasmus. I'm all for it, mate. Hopefully that is what happens. And yeah, you are right. There are players that find a certain level in an environment that isn't as pressurised as what Manchester United is. Let's say that. And thrive. And good for him. Anthony, another point in that as well. Even Rashford to a certain extent this season. Sancho, again, a little bit more. Like, proof that away from United it is different. And this is where I think Ruben is hell-bent on changing the culture of Manchester United. Players like MBEUMO and Cunha, like we've said, are definitely culture-changing players. They bring an element of professionalism back into Manchester United, and some, don't they? So that, I think, is Manchester United's angle on it. And I think what we're looking at is that it's going to take a bit of time, but this summer is going to go a very, very long way into changing the future of Manchester United. Quickly, just before I move on to the next striker option, you'll have seen the update regarding Franco Mastantuono and Manchester United missing out on another quality player. I'm not surprised, to be honest. We touched on it a bit earlier on. There are more and more reports coming out now that he is favouring a move to PSG. Manchester United went all in for Mastantuono to a point where they were willing to pay the fee that nobody else was. Well, now PSG, with all of their millions and everything that they have got and the opportunities that they've got in the future as well, with the Club World Cup now as well, they've got the money to pay that out, and that's another fantastic signing for them. People bitching and moaning about Manchester United not being anywhere near and monitoring it. Ben Jacobs came out earlier on again and said, look, Manchester United are also monitoring the situation. It's more than monitoring the situation. There's been several reports on United and Mastantuono already, so don't lose your shit over something that Ben Jacobs has said. He's right in what he said. I'm not having to go at Ben Jacobs in this, but don't lose your shit and start to look at what Manchester United have done wrong. They've done everything in their power to actually get this player in, and you've got to give credit to him to trying to get this over the line. I've seen some accounts online today saying, where the hell are Manchester United? Why are we sleeping while Manchester City are going for Ain't Nori? Like Manchester United asleep while bigger clubs are making moves. I'm sorry, we've got Harry and Mas, we've got Diego Leon coming in, and we've just signed Patrick Dorgu, who nobody at Manchester United, and these same accounts were coming out saying, we're loving the fact that we're bringing these younger players through. But then as soon as Manchester City sign a player, they want to use that against the club and what we're doing in this transfer window again and try to drive the negative agenda. Not happening here. We just tell it as it is and we break it down properly. And that's why you all love coming on to the show and giving your opinions. Moving on to that next story. And this is one that I would say no to instantly. Now, Mitrovic. Alexander Mitrovic, remember him? Yeah, 2 years ago, he was ready to headbutt a referee at Old Trafford and got sent off, which basically handed Manchester United the tie, which saved Erik ten Hag's job, which put us in the mess that we're in right now because United kept him because we beat Manchester City in the final. So for that reason alone, we're not signing Alexander Mitrovic. I'm only joking, but that was my deep dive into why I don't want Mitrovic, or one of the points of it. It's not really, I'm just making a joke, but yeah, big moments happen in big games which do determine what goes forward in the future. Like that sending off for Mitrovic against Manchester United in that FA Cup quarter-final was significant, and that did really turn the tide for Manchester United. But Mitrovic went off to El Hilal. Yes, that name again. Coincidence? And it was Ben Jacobs again. Yeah, talking about Mitrovic being a target for Manchester United. He's willing to take a pay cut. Anybody who's in Saudi Arabia right now willing to take a pay cut, I'm like, right, okay, so you're willing to go from $500,000 a week to $250,000 a week to come to the Premier League because the Saudis have given you an absolute fortune. I'm sorry, Mitrovic's time has been and gone. I don't want him to be at Manchester United. I don't want United to even think about Alexander Mitrovic. Look, if this man was on a free transfer, I'm all in. But there's no way I'm spending a penny on anyone who has moved to the Saudi Pro League. How does Saudi Pro League can even ask for 40 million for Alexander Mitrovic? Al Hilal, honestly, I don't know what they're on or what they're thinking, but Alexander Mitrovic is not worth 40 million of anybody's money. At 30, no, I'm sorry. Time has gone. Look, you may disagree and come into the chat with me if you want. Like, I thought Mitrovic would have been a great signing for United 2 years ago. Perfect. 28, experienced striker, exactly what Manchester United needed. He's now 30, going on 31, playing out his days in the Saudi Pro League. Yes, his goal-scoring record is great there, but whose isn't in the Saudi Pro League, to be honest? And Manchester United, I don't think, are even looking at that profile of player. Someone who's going to want more than 200 grand a week, who went from Fulham to El Hilal chasing the money, I don't think is what we want at Manchester United. Yeah, we can bin other players off there if we can that we want rid of, but bringing anyone in from the Saudi Pro League, I think needs to be stopped dead in its tracks instantly. I don't think it's the right way for United to go. And I'm pretty certain the management team in place won't even be thinking about Mitrovic. I think Ben Jacobs has just thrown a name out there because he's at Al Hilal, and they obviously need to have their foreign quota of players in place. Maybe someone needs to be moved on for Bruno to go in as well. Maybe Mitrovic out and Bruno in is something that might happen for them. He's just throwing up the names there, I feel. But I really don't think that Mitrovic would be a target for Manchester United. 40 million, are you serious right now? Like, that is just ridiculous. Not a chance is all I'm saying. Not a chance. Let's get into the comments on this one. Is there anyone out there that actually thinks that Alexander Mitrovic is the right type of player for Manchester United? I mean, seriously. Let's just see. Mitrovic, nah, move on. Well, let's revive the Ivan Toney deal. Again, yeah, like Ivan Toney, if you were talking about him, maybe, but he's even older, I think, than Mitrovic, or similar aged anyway. I just don't think Manchester United should be bringing in strikers from the Saudi Pro League. Again, I'm questioning the character of some of these strikers just because they've gone there, and that's not to put a slant on the Saudi Pro League at all. They're building what they are, and they will get bigger. But if you've gone to the Saudi Pro League while you're in your late 20s, supposedly in your prime, then you've gone there for the money. I'm sorry, you have. You've gone there for your money. And we're talking about Bruno right now. Bruno was only going to the Saudi Pro League for the money. I mean, I'll say it. Like, nobody wants to bring it up, but Bruno's a great character. Bruno's a great man. And it sounds a bit strong, that a great man, don't it? But you know what I mean by that anyway. But the only reason he would go to the Saudi Pro League is because of the money. It's the only reason anyone would go to Saudi. And we all know that. So I question players that have gone to Saudi in their prime just chasing the money. I don't think they've got the right temperament, characteristics or attitude to handle it in the Premier League. I really don't. Mitrovic could have gone somewhere big from Fulham. He could have. He could have had the pick of any decent Premier League side, I think. I think one of the top 5 or 6 teams would have been interested in Alexander Mitrovic. But No, he went and chased the monies and the pounds, and now we're looking at, he's done all right in the Saudi Pro League, but that's it. Like, it's the Saudi Pro League. He's 2 years older. I don't think so. I really don't. Mitrovic is on 400k a week, says Class of 99. Exactly. He's willing to take a pay cut, Ben Jacobs said. I'm sorry. He's going to say, I'll take a 50% pay cut. Yeah, you're not even worth 100 grand a week of anyone's wages in the Premier League right now, mate. So yeah, tough shit. You're going to have to just lump it out there. Apparently he is 30 though, he's not 29, mate. I know someone there in the chat, I brought it up earlier on, he's actually 30, not 29 apparently, according to Transfer Market anyway, so 30. And I wouldn't bring him in. I'm not questioning his age that much. I think he's 30 and his time is gone, I feel, is what I was saying. And I wouldn't bring anyone back from the Saudi Pro League, so there's no real point in bringing up his age even, really. I just wouldn't do it. Let's get some more comments in. Rasmus has only failed because he was recruited incorrectly. We should have bought a development striker. I think he can learn well of an experienced, and that we are correctly recruiting. I get what you're saying there, Mr. Dacius, and I know you've always been a backer of Rasmus Højlund. Unfortunate situation has brought him to Manchester United. Poor recruitment, you can say that again, yes. 100% true. Manchester United definitely got that one wrong. It's not his fault. I just don't like his attitude on the pitch. And that is something that he may learn at another football club and get better at. Look, if he goes out on loan, which is the report, then Rasmus might get better and become more valuable to Manchester United, either as a better striker or as someone who is better that can get us more money. That's how I would see Rasmus Højlund. That's all I ever see Rasmus Højlund as now going forward. If you're loving the content, everybody, please do pop a like on the video. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Everyone on the road to 90k. We're already well on our way there now, passing 80 the other day. I'm moving fast, so thank you everybody who has already subscribed, but keep hitting that subscribe button if you want to be up to date with all the Manchester United news. And you can check out all of 2 other shows as well as this one that are on the channel as well after this live is finished. Let's get into some more comments on these strikers. I'm going to bring another one up in a moment, which may tempt some people, I would think, within the fan base. Manchester United is toxic for players because of behind the scenes and our owners. Our road back, if done right, will still take years. For any player's sake, I do wish we get our targets though. Manchester United are not going to be turned around quickly at all. It's going to be a long old process for United to get anywhere back to where we should be. The target has to be top 6 next season, and the culture is the problem behind it. Andreas with that super chat, thank you, buddy. You're right in what you're saying there. The ownership under the Glazers has created this mess. You are dead right. I don't think Ineos are to blame as much as the Glazers in the past. They couldn't have been. They've only been here 18 months. But getting into bed with the Glazers, like I've said many times before, is always going to be the angle that most Manchester United fans take. And that's fair. No problem with that. I just look at it differently and think sometimes Manchester United fans don't look at the detail in what's been put into what's happening at Manchester United, like what Ruben's talking about. So they ignore it and just go straight to that agenda of hating the ownership, which is fine, but you can't come back and then have a go at people like me who try and bring this up and then try and claim that I'm an Ineos fanboy for bringing it up. I think Ruben is behind what Ineos want to do. And there is a big effort from the club to actually change the culture at Manchester United, which I'm all for. Like, the ownership will take care of itself in the future. But I want Manchester United to just be run right as a football club. That's it. And I'm seeing things that are working better, but we're a million miles off it. I'll admit that. But I have to look at the positives as well. And I do think there are positives in there in what we're doing. And the recruitment, I think, is actually better at United. I really do. Okay, moving on to the next striker. And you would have heard this name before. You, in fact, would have seen him picking up the Champions League trophy on Saturday evening. And that's Gonzalo Ramos. He who has helped, yeah, he got 3 goals in the Champions League, so he does have the right to pick that trophy up. He has been part of that successful journey for PSG under Enrique. But surplus to requirements, again, as you'd expect with that front line, he ain't getting anywhere near. If you're looking to go up against the likes of Desiree Doué, Kvaratskhelia and Ousmane Dembele, you ain't getting in the starting lineup. I mean, Dembele's up for the Ballon d'Or, for God's sake. Desiree Doué is like the young player of the Champions League tournament. We're all talking about Lamine Yamal, and the 19-year-old Desiree Doué is absolutely tearing it up. Gonzalo Ramos is a bit part player again, and he looks like the next Manuel Ugarte for me. And that being a player that Enrique knows he could probably get money for and move on, because he isn't going to get what he needs from Gonzalo Ramos. He's never going to start games for PSG. They're going to end up bringing better players in. And he apparently, according to Graham Bailey, has been offered to Manchester United. Now, he's got 18 goals and 6 assists this season, Ramos. He's only 23. And he could be one of them strikers that just finds his feet. Now, that age of striker at the right price, with them numbers, used to playing in high-intensity games, used to playing under a strict disciplinarian in Enrique, may be appealing to Manchester United. He fits the bill. He fits the profile. Experienced at the highest level. Full-on international with Portugal as well. You remember in the World Cup, he was the one that came on for Ronaldo and scored the hat-trick. After Ronaldo was brought off, all of them memories. Actually, I think he replaced him in one game and scored a hat-trick. It wasn't after a substitute appearance, but he's always been known as the bit part player, and you would have forgotten about him because he's just not playing games with PSG, which is understandable. But Gonzalo Ramos, I'm sort of in the middle with this one. I think there is a good player in there, in Ramos. I do. And I think his numbers, obviously, in a quality side, are always going to stand up. And 24 goal involvements and I think 41 games or something like that it is. It's not a bad record, but that is with PSG. And you're going to get chances in that PSG side, obviously. But is there anyone in the chat that thinks that Gonzalo Ramos, the second coming of him, because we've been linked with him before, that would be the right move for Manchester United? Or are we looking at this and going, we're taking a PSG's cast-offs again? Because Manuel Ugarte is young. He's 23. And at the moment, the question marks are out on Manuel Ugarte, I think, out of any of Man United signings from last summer. Are we going down that bumpy road of taking away the deadwood from PSG again and not prospering for us as a football club? That, I think, is a worry and a concern with anybody right now. Do we want to be dealing with PSG all over again? They drove a hard bargain, and United did well to get the deal they did, I thought, with Manuel Ugarte in the summer. How much will Ramos cost Manchester United? That is a serious question. Actually, I'm just going to look at this again now. Just want to look at the contract situation with Ramos. Bear with me 1 second. I'm just going to bring it up now. Okay, so Gonzalo Ramos is contracted till 2028. They're going to drive a hard bargain again, aren't they? I think he's going to cost too much for Manchester United. And to be honest, if I had to choose, say, between a 23-year-old Ramos, who has got a lot more in the legs and a bigger future than someone older, or taking someone like MATETA, who's 27 going on 28, I'd take MATETA all day long. I don't care what people think of that. You may think I'm being stupid because I'm buying the older striker again, and he doesn't sound like the elaborate name that we want, like Gonzalo Ramos, but I think he is, personally, a better overall striker anyway, in what Ruben wants. And the unproven nature of Gonzalo Ramos, for me, would be the downside to it as well. Not sure why we don't go for Samu from Porto, says Stu. That was for him renewing his membership earlier on in the chat. Thanks for that, Stu, buddy. Yeah, I mean, Samu has been a player that Manchester United have been linked with. He almost went to Chelsea a couple of seasons ago, a couple of summers ago. The deal was pretty much done. Like, the man destroyed Manchester United. He really did. But again, unproven Premier League player, and Porto will ask for a lot of money from Manchester United. They will drive another hard bargain on us there. Like, we're there for everybody to have a go at, I think, and I think teams will take as much advantage of Manchester United's situation as they possibly can. No, stay away, says GC Me TV. Cornish May said she'd take Ramos. No to Ramos, says Carl. From me, he's another overhyped European striker that's got his move to PSG and hasn't done a lot. I kind of agree with Carl on that one. That's exactly where I'm at. Like, he may come good, but United are not in a position to, I think, really take a risk on any of that. I really don't think it is. I really don't think it is going to be Manchester United's angle this summer. I don't think we're going to take a risk on someone who is unproven again. A quick one out regarding talks. Sully Talks actually has just come out with a tweet. Money has never been the main issue at all for Bruno. He made it clear. He made it clearly to the board he wants to stay and be here for this rebuild and will only leave if the club tells him to. So this is word again from Sully on the Bruno Fernandes situation. This, I think, just develops and develops. Actually, more important news just coming out regarding Jadon Sancho. Crucial hours on Jadon Sancho. Is that actually genuine? It's a genuine Fabrizio Romano tweet that's just come out over the last 30 minutes. I think this might be off from Fabrizio Romano's latest video, actually. Crucial hours on Jadon Sancho. Get ready. Decision expected imminently. Okay, so it looks like we're going to get a Jadon Sancho situation or development very, very soon, according to Fabrizio. That'll be probably something that I'm talking about on the morning show. Will he be staying at Chelsea? Will he be coming back to United? That's going to be the big news coming out later this evening, no doubt. And we'll bring you that information later on. But just quickly on what Sully said there. Again, Bruno Fernandes throwing it right back at Manchester United. So Bruno's leaving it to the club are leaving it to Bruno. Ruben wants Bruno to stay, and all the talk from the journalist is that this deal is edging closer to Bruno moving to the Saudi Pro League. Who do we believe with Bruno Fernandes? Honestly, I don't know anymore. I don't know which way we go with it, but look, we'll just wait for Bruno to make a decision and then let the club deal with that, I think. That's where we're up to. But yeah, it does look like, going off them bits of news there, that things are changing constantly throughout the day. I'm not surprised, like literally every single afternoon at the moment, there is an update and a news flash on something to do with Manchester United. We've got a couple of super chats that have just come in. I missed a few minutes of the show, so just want to know what is the chance of Gyökeres coming to Manchester United? 0 to 100%. Our recruitment has been much better. I do blame Ineos, but they kept the Glazers at the club. In terms of Gyökeres, Atletico Madrid have now entered the race for him. And on this, I would say that Manchester United, if I had to pick a percentage out of 100, I'm probably on the 40 max chance of coming to Manchester United because of the Ruben factor. I think with Atletico in, I think that is significant. And I do believe that the Champions League football is going to play a massive, massive part in this. I do. United need a proven striker, can develop other positions still, but get the guaranteed goals at 9, it says Rose with the super chat. Thank you, Rose. And another super chat in from Mark. Mark says, Ramos could work, but the price would need to be right. Remember, Robin and Schneider were Real Madrid cast-offs, and look at what happened to them. Robin was all right. I thought he was decent at Bayern Munich, but hey, look. Again, yeah, Schneider, definitely one of them. Like, it's always a risk, isn't it, getting a cast-off? You just never know. You never know if it's going to work out for you or not. I'm still on that cast-off title. You said it there, Mark, in the super chat. He's a cast-off. He's not fitting in at PSG. And do we really want to be taking them players that don't work? In our situation, though, you would actually argue the point, that's where we're at. We're not the United that's in Europe that's challenging for the best trophies. We're a United that was close to relegation last season, who are potless, who with no trophies in our worst ever Premier League season, looking to rebuild in the Premier League alone. So maybe it is the right type of player for United. You could argue that. Another super chat in from Andreas. Thank you again, mate. I love that, buddy. Do you think if we get MBEUMO, a striker, and 2 other players that we will get into the top 6 next year? Bruno has to leave. I love him, but we need the money. I reckon if Bruno stays, United get MBEUMO and a striker and possibly another midfielder and a goalkeeper. I don't know how far the finances stretch at that. So say for we got MBEUMO, we got a striker, we've got Cunha in already. If Bruno stays, I still think Manchester United, with them players in, I think Manchester United can still get top 6 next season. I just do, with the amount of rest time and the amount of time that Ruben has got on the training ground, with that front line, which is everything for Manchester United and why we really failed drastically last season. I think that is definitely Manchester United getting into the top 6 next season, I feel, anyway. Just my opinion. I did say at the top of the show that I've got a feeling that Bryan Mbeumo would definitely be a Manchester United player by the end of this window. I'm confident, just from what I'm reading, I think Bryan Mbeumo will be a Man United player. I do. By the way, everybody, I did update everyone on the Gyökeres situation and all the other Premier League news on Football Talks earlier on. If you haven't already, please go across and subscribe to our other channel as well, please, everyone. That is Football Talks. The link is in the description. One of the mods will indeed pop it into the live chat for you there as well. If you haven't already, please do go and subscribe. Thank you, London, for the gifted membership. Second one of the day. The first one was, I think, from Oddy Grass earlier on. So thank you again for that, buddy. Yes, it was Oddy Grass. Thank you, mate. Making sure I've got all of the shout outs done there before we move on swiftly. PSG fan can't just waltz in here and take over the community's crown. I like it, Roz. Give him what's for, mate. Right, I'm just going to pin the link to the Football Talks channel in the live chat as well for you there, everybody. So it's there. Thank you for that, Stu, buddy. So that one is there for you as well. If you haven't already, that is my other channel where I go over all of the other transfer news and other news around the Premier League. So get on to that as well, everybody. Just to quickly round up everything like we said from the top of the show, Bryan Mbeumo looks like he is a main target for Manchester United now, even if we buy him before the next striker. Even if Bruno Fernandes stays at Manchester United, Bryan Mbeumo is a top target, and United are now in face-to-face contacts with Brentford over a deal and the conditions of a deal for Bryan Mbeumo. He is a top target for Manchester United. So remember, that I think is where we're at with the next transfer, I think, coming in. I do. I think we'll make a decision on the 9, but I've got a feeling Mbeumo is going to be the next one, which is why I said what I did in feeling confident that this would get done. Andreas, thank you. 5 gifted memberships. Absolutely love that, buddy. Thank you so much, mate. I really appreciate that. Great contributions again tonight. Thank you, everyone. Make sure you have subscribed to Forever United TV and given this video a like. Thank you, everyone, again. Creeping up to 400 live likes. Another epic show. Let's just get through as many comments as we can now. Thanks for the show, Adam. Thank you, Babs. Love that. This is my go-to channel over the summer. Thank you, mates. Love that. Corrupt Recording Hard. Another great YouTube name. Appreciate it, buddy. But yeah, we're going to wrap things up there. And thank you all again. That is us finished. If indeed that Sancho update that Romano was talking about, which was imminent, comes through, we'll have that covered. I've got a feeling that might be in the morning show. So Romano, just so you're clear, has just come out with news in the last 20 minutes that a decision on Jadon Sancho's future is imminent. Is he staying at Chelsea or is he coming back to United? We'll have that covered, obviously, in the morning. If anything serious does break tonight, we may come back later on, but let's hope that we can have a nice, peaceful night. Enjoy ourselves on this Monday evening. I will see you all tomorrow. Please, like I said, subscribe, hit the like button, get your comments in below, everybody, on all the topics we discussed on tonight's show. And have a great evening, people. See you all tomorrow.